Welcome to the next episode of CNMI Speaks Out. CNMI Speaks Out is about domestic violence and CNMI culture. With this podcast, we will hear stories of brave women who overcame domestic violence and know more about their cultural upbringing. I'm your host, Jennifer Taman, and today we have the privilege of hearing our guest's story. However, for safety and confidentiality purposes, our guest's identity will remain anonymous. So guests, welcome and thank you so much for being here and sharing with us your story. Guest, can you tell us a little bit about your story and how will you describe your relationship?
My story is almost like not an ordinary story because I'm not from here, and then I met this guy who happened to help me to have a papers and to support my family. Um, we started as like a friend, and um, you know he showed me that he's a good guy and a complete Romeo.
Yeah.
Yeah, every like a regular boyfriend and girlfriend. Everything is icing on top,
Right.
those things. And after a couple of years, getting to know each other, and then things happen. Started falling apart,
Yeah.
and then it leads to something that I didn't expect.
Okay. Okay, so when or how did you come to the realization that, you are in a domestic or controlling relationship?
I realized that I'm on domestic or on the abuse part is when um, there's already emotional abuse. It started on emotional abuse actually, and then verbal abuse,
Okay.
and then it leads to physical abuse. So I didn't know what are those because I thought it's normal in a relationship. Every relationship goes through fighting, misunderstanding, and all along I thought that's normal. When you have emotional abuse, I felt like, oh, maybe this is just normal. This is just something that me and him needs to work out. Um, when verbal abuse is when the cussing, when the yelling, and I still felt like it's normal because every relationship goes through those things. But the physical abuse, when that thing happened, I said maybe this is not right anymore. Although it's not physical abuse, but I know that there's something is not right. Something is not right. Then I realized, okay, so can I still handle it? Can I still? Um, I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night. I can't. Um, how do you say this? Like it bothers me for 6 years. Every single day, I realize that there's something wrong. It's either like the emotional, the trauma, the everything,
Yeah.
everything that I know that it's not right on the relationship. Like you're waking up one day, you're not happy anymore. You're waking up that you're just trying hard to save a relationship. Like you believe that hey, there's still hope, hey, something is gonna work out, but every single day you're broken to the point that you don't even know yourself anymore, broken to the point that you felt like I am not the same person as 6 years ago. That's what I've been. That's how I know that I'm on a domestic relationship
Right.
because I don't know myself anymore. I come to the point that I look at myself on the mirror and I started crying out of nowhere. And I said, "Wow, this is true. Domestic violence is true. Um, the feeling of being scared, the feeling of not speaking out. I'm one of those. When I realized that what is domestic violence is just when I when I realized that I'm the victim behind closed door. So not a lot of people wanted to share their experience, and I'm one of them, right?
Yeah, once you're telling me your story, I feel like I'm in your shoes. I was the same. I just keep believing in love, believing in that. Like, I'm actually getting teary because it brings me back, like how I keep believing in love and just keep thinking that it's gonna change. But pretty soon you will realize that it doesn't change, and you don't know who you are in that process. Like, you lose yourself. Right. Can you describe or explain, like you said right earlier, it was like ice cream on top, right? Is that the right term you use? But then it started to go. It started with emotional first. Can you explain, like, what led up to it?
Of course, there's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of differences. When we are brought up in different ways. So back in the day, I know that I am different. I'm not as mature as I am. So there is one point that I know, it's the emotional lead to something bad because of my immaturity. When you're young and you're not really sure about what you want and everything, it goes both ways for me and that person. Probably we're both not ready.
Yeah.
And the outlet is the emotional abuse is because I was not I was not being treated the way I wanted to be treated. Emotional abuse because I cried at night when I see something that is not right, how he responded to me. And if you're in a relationship, if your partner is showing you some kind of behavior, like looking at you in a bad way, you just get scared, and that's emotional abuse. When he gave you that bad look, like he wanted to, like, not even to hurt you, but just by the look, that's a form of abuse already.
You're right.
And you develop that
Fear.
emotion, that
Yeah.
fear, because it's a controlling behavior.
Yeah.
So I know that's an emotional abuse. So that's what happened to me. So it keeps happening, and then the worst part is the verbal abuse. I think when they said words can cut you, that's really true.
Oh yeah.
Because believe it or not, whatever he said from the years back, I can still pretty much hear it on my, up until now when we're talking now. I can hear how he said things to me, how he cussed on me, how he said those hurtful words on me, and it's just like yesterday.
Yeah.
That's how the trauma, that's the abuse, and I know it takes a lot of time, or it's not gonna go away.
Yeah.
It's a process, and it's gonna be there. We just learn how to move on.
Agreed. It's just like always in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I think like it's just something in you. Like either you, you let it go through or you don't.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, before I'm not even able to share any of my story.
Yeah.
Not even to anybody. But as part of healing from being a part of domestic, relationship, domestic abuse, I think part of healing is sharing your story. But you have to pick what you're going to be sharing. And the reason I agreed to be part of this interview is because I wanted to share that we heal. We might not forget the abuse, either verbal, physical, or emotional, but we can heal.
Yeah. It may take long, or fast.
It will get.
It will get.
There
You
you
will
go.
get.
Yes. After you realized, right? You said you were a silent victim. So you didn't reach out to anyone. Can you tell us, like, why was that? Why didn't you reach out to anyone, ask for help, or even just talk to anyone about it?
Part of me is scared. That's the one thing. You were scared, of course. I'm really scared to open up. Scared that people might not believe me. Scared that somehow it's gonna be like talk of the town. In a small community like we have right now, once you expose yourself, people, it's either they will judge you, they will say things, they might not believe you. Or what's gonna be the outcome to me? I don't wanna be like I don't wanna be like going out or telling people what happened to my life. Up until this moment people believe that I have a good relationship.
Right.
Nobody knows that something happened.
Really?
Up until this moment. People that knows me and that individual think that we just separate ways, that we just didn't work out. But they didn't know that there's a story behind it didn't work out. It's just like everyone asks me, why did you guys separated? The reason I always give them, because we're both not ready in a relationship. We separated because we're not meant for each other. I didn't want to disclose the part that, oh, because this thing. No, it just happened.
Okay. So you said also earlier that you you don't share your story often, right? And then now that you want to share it out loud because you want to heal, how long did it take you to have like that motivation to share your story, or to even say, hey, I'm okay, I can share now? How long did it take you?
Um, the healing part is not 100%.
You're right.
Up until I think I must say the healing part is just like 50%, because I'm still not open to share my entire story. But let me give you one part. Before I ended the relation, before we both ended the relationship, there's a gun on top of the table, asking me to leave.
A gun?
A gun.
I'm having goosebumps right now.
There's a gun on top. There's a gun in front of the table telling me to leave the relationship.
Right.
So, just imagine that. Just imagine there's a gun in front of you. He is giving me an option. It's either you stay here or you go in front of you with the gun. So, like I said, that's only a very little story that I wanted to share, because I don't want to traumatize people and I don't want to go back, because it's too painful to go back in details.
Yeah.
But I want people to know that there's people like me that not sharing their stories and they didn't get justice for it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you're out of that situation. And that just gave me goosebumps.
That's just one part.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're out of it already. So, do you believe that your culture or your upbringing contributed to your response to domestic relationship?
Yes.
Yes. Can you please explain?
My culture, because I'm not from here. For a person that is not part of the community. I mean, not part of the community because I am not from here. I believe that when you don't have anybody, when you don't have somebody that knows you, I mean, like, that you can ask for help, that you can trust, it's hard to ask for help. Like to tell them that, hey, I'm having emotional trauma, I'm having verbal abuse, I'm having all of this. You will not just say, oh, this is what happened to me, because you're not from here.
Right.
Everybody is new. You don't know anybody, right? So that's why that bringing to me has a big impact, because I didn't know who to ask for help.
Right.
I didn't know if what's gonna happen to me. You're just scared for the entire thing that's gonna happen to you. So you just keep your mouth shut and you say, never mind, I'll get over it. But you thought you get over it, but it's not, because every single day you remember what happened to you.
Yeah.
Until you just, like I said, heal and move on.
Yeah, I get what you mean. What advice do you wish you could have given yourself before the violence began?
I wish I learned how to speak up. I wish I'm able to talk to myself and say, be strong enough to ask for help, or go down to the police station and say I needed help. But I don't have the courage. So if I'm gonna go back and give myself an advice back in the day, I will tell myself, go and ask for help. Don't be afraid to go to police station and tell them what really happened, and regardless of what is the outcome. Or I will tell myself, do not fear, because if you're in that kind of situation, the fear has a really, really, really big, like the scary moment. Like there are times I told myself, I just want to die.
You're right.
Like, Lord, don't wake me up tomorrow. I just want to die today. Like I really asked God one time that, Lord, I just want to die right now. Don't wake me up tomorrow so I don't feel anything. That's how I know I'm in emotional state.
Yeah.
And partly it's because I know I'm still young back in the day, but I mean, nobody deserves to be treated like that, regardless of how old you are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I was thinking. But yes, if I can go back and give myself an advice before, I will tell myself, go down, get help, and don't be afraid.
Awesome. Well said. We should always learn how to speak up for ourselves. What advice would you give to other survivors or individuals who is currently in a domestic relationship right now?
Back off. If you know that it's not right, don't wait. You know when it's not right. I know everybody wants to have a relationship that it's perfect, that but don't hide. Just if you know for yourself that this is not right, step back and just ask for help. It's not bad to ask for help. You don't have to go all over, like, 360 whatever thing, but all you need to do is just back off and assess yourself. Check yourself. Do I deserve to be treated like this? Do I is this still is this it's not if it's not right, you can tell. So if you know that, if you're afraid, then it's not right.
Right. That's
That's your key. If you have that fear, if you can't sleep at night, if you wake up in the morning that you're not happy, if you wake up in the morning that you are scared of your safety, if you are in a relationship that you cannot be yourself, then get out and just ask for help. You don't have to break up right away, but ask for help. Check yourself first.
that's so true. You have it always starts from
You right.
Yeah,
Always
ask
starts
yourself.
from you.
Then when they said that, look at yourself in the mirror, it's actually true. I did that on the last part before I moved forward with my life. I was looking at the mirror and I said, man, I don't see myself anymore.
yeah.
I told myself, I don't know who you are. Like, I was completely different person because I'm hiding so much pain. When you feel that you're numb, you're hiding so much pain and you can't even function the way you're supposed to function, you know that it's not right anymore. Like, you are just faking a smile. I'm a happy person. You will not see how the difference between me and a domestic relationship when I see people, because they think I'm very happy person. Nobody, like I said, I'm the victim of domestic violence behind closed door because I can fake a good smile.
Yeah.
I smile, like people see, like they think I don't have problem, but every morning, every time I wake up, I know I'm not happy. Every time I wake up, I know I'm in pain, and then there's one part of myself saying I'm already numb. Don't wait for that moment.
Yeah.
Get out and ask for help. You know, get out of that relationship before it get worse.
That's true. That's true. Don't wait until you don't know, realize who you are.
Yeah.
Until you don't know who you are.
Yes. You're just gonna look at yourself like you were saying that. What happened to me?
Yeah.
Who are you? What happened to me? Why did you choose to be quiet? That's one of the questions that I ask myself. Why did I choose to be quiet? Why I didn't ask for help? Why I didn't seek for at least counseling to help me? You know, but like I said, it took me years and years to realize that I'm in that relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
because part of me, one, you remember when you said there's one strand of your hair believing that it will change the relationship? We have this one hope that it's gonna change. I promise it's gonna change. Tomorrow he's gonna change. He does change over after the entire, like, he changed today, tomorrow back to the same thing again. It's not gonna change. It's still the same.
Yeah.
Like, we argue today, we something happened. Lovey, and then after not even 24 hours, back to the same thing again. Like, oh, okay, so what's gonna happen?
It's just a
Until you
pattern.
get exhausted, until you don't know anything anymore, until you get numb, until you don't feel it anymore. That's it.
So before we go to our last question, right? You said we were talking about, like, back when we're in that relationship, we don't know who we are. Do you know who you are now?
Yes.
Awesome.
I already know what happened. Who am I now? God helped me. I help myself. I have this strong faith in God,
Yeah.
and I think the people you surround yourself with people that empower you. Yes. You don't trust just anybody. That's the side effect of being in domestic violence. You never trust anybody. You don't trust just anybody. Like, just because you are nice to me, I will share my story to you. Just because you treated me lunch, I will share everything to you. No, I never let my guard down.
Yeah. That's true.
I never let my guard down. And every man that I see, I always see them as perpetrator. I have that thing back in the day that there's a group of guys that's on the table, and every time I look at them, I felt like they're all abuser.
Yeah.
Like, I don't trust them. I don't want to talk to them, and that's it. Because there's a flashback. The side effect or the outcome
PSD.
is the flashback of domestic violence. Sometimes you wake up, you have a nightmare.
Yeah.
You just had a, like, if you hear people's story, after 2 days you're just gonna have flashback, or like you hear somebody talking, you're just gonna cry out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or they're like, when I listen to your podcast, sometimes I don't finish it because I'm crying. That's why all your podcasts,
Yeah.
I'm actually doing it like on the middle, and then I stop. I cannot do this, Jen. I can't. So, there are times that I have to limit what I watch and what I see when it comes to those are the side effects.
Yeah.
You don't want to traumatize yourself again.
Yeah.
And even if people wanted to share, or you want to share your stories, you don't want to traumatize other people with your stories. So sometimes when people share their story, I actually back off. I don't want to listen.
Yeah.
Because I have my own share of stories.
Yeah.
And sometimes that one hurts me, knowing that, hey, I'm not alone. It's good that you're not alone, but hearing them sharing their story, it hurts me more because I've been also there.
Yeah.
And that's how I protect my sanity. That's how I heal. So for those people that going through the same thing as me, I encourage them to have strong faith in God. Always pray. And the healing, it will take time. It takes years and years and years. I don't know how long. There's no timetable of healing. Because you can say, I'm already healed, I'm ready to move forward, but once you talk about it, you're gonna start crying. And then later on you realize, oh, I'm healed, but not completely healed.
Yeah.
Because the pain is still there. The memory is still there that you cannot erase. So it means we just learn how to move forward.
Yeah.
but we don't completely heal. So for the people that's in that goes through the same thing as me, we need. That's why we said be kind, because sometimes we don't know what's under.
Yeah.
So that's why those women that behind closed door, that like the same thing as what happened to me, learn how to speak up, because that's part of healing. That's part of healing.
Yep. Um, what do you wish? So this is our last question. What do you wish the CNMI community understood about domestic relationship?
I think the CNMI now is being open.
Right.
With all those programs, you see the coalition.
Yeah.
I'm happy that there's a coalition. I'm happy that they have you, because you pick your guests. I'm happy that they have this program that support individual that goes through this situation. Not a lot of people can go to DPS and, hey, I'm reporting I have domestic violence, but through you, we're able to speak up. Through you, we're able to reach out to other people. Through you, we're able to share our stories, even though they don't see who we are. At least somehow we share our experience, and maybe they can see something, or they can relate to something, and then one day they will learn how to speak up. So the humanities really put up a good effort for you to have this, because this is really helpful for everybody, especially for the women. Some people, their stories are on the newspaper. Some people, their stories are Facebook and social media, or they share it to anybody. But there's some people like me that nobody knows what really happened, because we never talk about what happened. So the domestic violence behind closed door, where it's a lot of us, and I'm one of them, behind closed door, that's suffering up until this very moment, and it needs help. The trauma is there. It's really, really bad. But through this program, I may say that I actually moved one step,
Aww.
a little bit forward from my healing. So I'm really happy that you really asked me to be part of this interview. I try not to cry.
Because
I got teary.
Yeah, I try not to cry. I'm crying because finally I'm able to speak up through this program, and I'm emotional because I know that women that's on the same situation like me, they will understand why we keep our mouth shut, why we don't speak up. But I'm giving them the opportunity to don't be like me.
yeah.
Speak up.
Yep.
Don't wait for years. If the situation is not right, get out, find ways to find help, and don't be ashamed. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you took part of this podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for sharing your story with us. That's it. Kasi hindi na-record.
Tapos hindi pa na na-record yung buong speech natin.
Yeah. To our listeners out there, I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast, and just know that domestic violence is true and it's real, and it's happening everywhere, and it happens to anyone. If you are experiencing domestic violence right now, please always remember that you are not alone. When you're ready to speak up, that you know that people are here willing to listen, and that we're ready to help you in any type of way. Well, that's the end of our episode, which brings us to the finale of our series of our podcast, Domestic Violence and CNMI Culture. So I just wanted to thank everyone who listened to our podcast from the beginning to end, or even if you listen in the middle, thank you. I hope you're able to take a little thing or two in our podcast, and I'm just so glad that I'm able to share this journey with everyone. This was such an amazing journey. I've learned a lot. I've met many incredible people, and it's such a life experience that I would never trade. And thank you so much for tuning in. Lastly, if you are experiencing domestic violence or know someone who might be experiencing domestic violence, please call 911 or CNMI's Victim Hotline at 670-234-5100. Thank you, and please tune in again next week. The CNMI Speaks Out has been made possible in part by a major grant from the Northern Marianas Humanities Council and the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, finding, conclusion, or recommendation expressed in this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council or the National Endowment for the Humanities.